This is Irontrader, and this is Midday Trading. So we'll take a look at a few stocks here. We'll take a look at Home Depot and Lowe's, FedEx, UPS, and then we'll take a look here at Tesla, which is moving up pretty nicely on their new 6-passenger car. Okay, this video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation to buy or sell any stock market ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. All right. Here we have Home Depot. Now, we got numbers coming out here very shortly. Let's just look at the past on what the earnings were, okay? So right here's one earnings. Again, ran up nicely. Another one kind of ran up nicely. Same thing here. Same thing on there. This one here came out like a declining situation, and this was here like a declining situation also. So we got to see what's going to happen here when the earnings come out. Now, it's all about going to be about the housing and that kind of stuff. But right now, mortgage rates are actually came right on down. They're about 6.4, 6.5, I guess, for the 30-year. So that could really help out Home Depot here in the long run, but we've got to see how this all shakes out. Now, you can see here on the RSI, we went and got to like an overbought condition, and now she's coming down a little bit. Your green is still over your red, so she's not looking too bad. Now, let's look at the downside here first. Okay, so it came down below there today, but we're holding this 8 days so far. That's going to be very key on a closing basis, is that's that 395.08. And then we'll come right to the top of this candle. You're looking at 391.45 level. Then we come to the bottom of that candle there. You're looking at 389. And then we're going to start getting into all these simple moving averages. You have the 282.92 level. And then we have that 200-day. And we're sitting right there at 282.92. So we're sitting right there. So that's going to provide a lot of support. But it really needs to hold that 8-day to continue that upward swing. Now, you can see how the 8-day crossed over, 21-day, 50-day. Everything is rolling up here pretty nice. But again, that 8-day is going to be key on a closing basis, and also, what their numbers are going to be. Now, again, we start losing that. Then we have that 50-day down there at that 371, and then we have no 100-day 366.97. Then we can always do the retest. But right now, this is not looking too bad. So on the upside, what we want to do is watch today's high. You're looking at 398.14. We'll come up to this high at that 402.79. But right here is going to be the key, is that 407.82 level. Now, if we can get up into that level, well, then we come right up to the top of that candle. You're looking at 408.87 level. And then we're going to come right here because we had this double top. See that double top situation? Then she came right on down. So this is what you're looking at, is that 418 level. Then we can do a nice good retest, possibly at that 426 and then 439. Now, a lot of this is going to be on Powell. He's out there in Jackson Hole. I just don't know if he's going to be cutting here in September. Everybody says, oh, he's going to do 4 cuts this year. I can't see it. After that PPI report, and when you read into that CPI report, you got inflation is sinking in. And the last thing they want to do is cut, and they're going to have to raise again. So always remember that, and that could affect these like a home builder kind of stocks. Okay, so really what you want to watch on the downside, you got that 395. If that's lost, you're going to come right down to the 200-day, 21-day. That is going to be a big target because we've held this here twice very nicely. And then we can just follow everything right on down here if it keeps on selling off. The upside at 407.82. And then we want to watch, realistically, we get above that, we want to watch this double top situation at that 418 level, and then we venture onto that 426 level, okay? So you got to be a little patient if you're trading this. Okay, let's take a look here now at Lowe's. All right, here we have Lowe's. Now, I shop at all of these, okay? I like Home Depot, Lowe's, but really one of my favorite ones is Menards. Menards has really good products, very good, a lot better price on a lot of things, okay? So I really like the Menards, and really what you do is they give you this 11% discount, and okay, then they send it in the mail. But what I like about Menards is that after the first of the year, you could go there and it's 15% off on everything you can fit in this paper bag, you know what I'm saying? 50% right at the counter, which is very nice. So I have off-road vehicles and Harleys and all that stuff, so if you're looking for batteries or, octane booster or stuff like that, it's a very good place to shop. But Lowe's, you can see here, we have pretty much the same chart as the Home Depot. Got to a little bit overbought condition, now pulling back. Now, what you really want to watch on the downside is going to be right here. It's going to be this 8-day at the 247.22. If that's lost, you come right to the top of that candle at that 245 level. And then we're going to come down to that 240, which is your 200-day. And then we have your 21-day at that 235. If that's lost, you want to come right to the left of the chart. You're looking at 232. And then we can come down to your 227. And then we have your 100-day sitting down there at 226. But right now, watch that 8-day because we have a nice good crossover, same way we had on Home Depot, of your simple moving average. Is very nice. Now, on the upside, you want to watch Friday's high. That's at 254.17. But realistically, that 258.50 that's going to be key. Okay, now, if you can get above that 258 level, okay, that's where you have right there. Okay, so you have 257.93, pretty close. This is going to be the next level that you're going to go is 260.61, and then we venture right on up here, 264 level, and then we come up 266, and then we can come all the way up here to the top of that 269 level. Then what we can do is bring the price channel right across. You got 273, you got a retest there of 280.64, and then we can come right to the top of that candle, 282, we have 285, and then 287.01. Again, but see, this is going to be the same as Home Depot. It's all going to be on like on housing, kind of a situation. Are people going to be spending? Are they going to be doing any kind of a remodels or any kind of situation like that? And that will be affect. So we have to see how the earnings are. So let's just take a look at the previous past earnings. Okay, so we added here, and then we had a nice good rally up. Right there is going to be the same thing as we had with Home Depot. Okay, the charts are pretty much very, very much the same. So we got to see how that's all going to shake out when the earnings come out. But again, what you want to do is just watch that 8-day. That's going to be very, very key. If not, you got to target at that 200-day, and then we have the 21-day. The upside, watch that 258. That's going to be very, very critical. If we can get above that, we have a really nice big target all the way up there at that 269. But you got to be a little bit patient with it. Okay, let's take a look here now at FedEx. Here we have FedEx. Now, I have a friend here who's a pilot actually for FedEx, and he says business is really good. So, I mean, I don't really have any reason. He's going to be a pilot no matter what, so I don't know. But anyway, you can see how we had the sell-off situation going on. Their earnings will be coming up here also. So let's take a look at the earnings. You can see where we had the earnings and then rallied up nicely. This earnings here, we went like a sideways action. This earnings here, we just were like a gap and go, and then she just fell off. And this year, we have a sideways action going on here. So look, we have everything. It looks like we're really jammed up right here on all these simple moving averages. So what we really want to watch here on the downside is going to be that 224.04. That's going to be key. If you lose that 100-day, then we'll come down here 222, and then we'll come to the bottom of this candle at 220. Then we have your retest there at that 216 level. Okay, so that's your downside action. Now your upside, while you're watching that 8-day, you're looking at 227, and then we'll be watching at that 228 level. That is going to be your 21-day. If we get above that, we have this double top situation going on right there. So you're looking at 233.35 level, okay? And then we can venture all the way up here, 241, and then we can come up to the top of that candle. You're looking at 244, but this realistically is what you're going to be looking at is that 245, and then we have that 200-day sitting at 247, and then we'd have to see what the reaction is once you get on that 200-day. Okay, then I say you got a lot of levels to go all the way and up, but realistically, you have to get back above this price channel, okay, which is at 244 level, and you have to get above that 247, that 200-day in order to do that. Right now, we just have this sideways action. You can see we're rallied up, and then we put like a double top situation in. Okay, we made that high of that 245.76, and then we tested it with 244, couldn't get through, and then she came right on down. So we got to see how this shakes out. Now, RSI, well, you're sitting at 48. That's not overbought or oversold. Sitting here sideways. I think you're just waiting for the numbers to see how these tariffs or anything is going to be affecting the FedEx level. But bottom line here, watch that 100-day on a closing basis. If not, you got your target there at that 216 level. And then I say on the upside, we have that 50-day and we have that 21-day that you got to watch. And then if we can get above that, we have these topping tails at that 233 level, and then we can rally all the way up here, possibly to this price channel at that 244 and possibly that 200 SMA. But let's just shake out. Let's see what the earnings come out with. Okay, let's take a look here now at UPS. Here we have UPS. Now, UPS is the dog of the one. Now, ever since they had that big contract, okay, see, this is the problem, is when you have super inflation. So when Biden was in there, we had the most inflation pretty much ever, okay? So you had that super inflation. So what happens, okay? You say, oh, yeah, it'll work itself out. Yes and no. As soon as you have that big hyperinflation, what happens is all the unions, okay, and I have nothing against union. I was union iron worker for years, okay? I have nothing against that. What it is when you look at the unions, first of all, they do is they wanted raises. Okay, UPS came out, and now you're paying averaging like $140,000 a person to drop off a package. Okay, it's the same way with the auto workers and everything else. But what is the end game? They came out to work today where they said, your average car now is like $49,000. Well, your average person going to work making even $20 an hour, $25 an hour is not going to be able to afford that with a house and a family and food and bills and everything like that and insurance, which is out of control. Okay, so that's how you have to look at it. But that's what happens when you get that hyperinflation. Okay, so now when inflation comes down, you're not going to go there and ask the guy, say, okay, inflation is down, now I'm going to take a cut and pay. See, it doesn't work like that. Now you're up at those upper levels. Okay, see, that's where the problem is. Another thing is like with UPS is they're ahead of them and FedEx. They kind of blew it with Amazon. You know, they didn't really want to negotiate. And now Amazon has all these distribution centers. And I tell you what, I love it. In my area, they put one in. And man, I tell you, I used to get a package from UPS or FedEx. It would be, 3, 4, maybe 5, 7 o'clock at night sometimes. All right. With this at Amazon, by 1, 2 o'clock, you got it. They take a picture of it. They send it right to your email and boom. 1, 2, 3. So eventually Amazon's going to build this all out so they don't even need no UPS or FedEx kind of situation. So, but you can see here on the declining chart where you had this 172 level and now we're just declining all the way down to this 84 level. Okay, so I don't really see anything in this kind of a stop. Now you can see here, let's look at the previous earnings. Okay, it was sideways action. Up here, a little bit uptrend, it fell right on down. But it's kind of like the same thing. But look at the last earnings that they had. Okay, this fell right on down, and now we're sitting down lower. So I don't really see any kind of a situation. So on the upside, you want to watch that 87.35. That's going to be key. And then you want to watch 91.28. And then we want to watch that 50-day, 96.86. And then we have that 100-day. Okay, and then we have this gap. Okay, see the top of that candle? So I wanted to show you is 98.19. There's your gap. And then we want to look to the bottom of that candle, 101.28. There's your fill, and then we have 104 level, and then we come on top of that candle at 106, and then we can work your way up to 111. But what is going to be the catalyst to take it up there? When you look at this, you have almost like a big pole and a huge bear flag situation going. Now, the key to this whole situation is going to be this 84.28. If you lose that 84.28, you're going down into the 70s, and you could go all the way down into the 50s. Okay, very, very easy. Okay, so there's just no question about that. So right here, we had this over a sold condition, rallied on up, could not hold it, and come right on back down. Same way with this. We have sideways action, but it just does not look good. Let me see if I can maybe even stretch that out, because you're talking about we haven't been seeing these levels here in a long, long time. So let me just punch it up here. Let me see if I can get some more years on this chart. All right, I had to go all the way back here. This is 15 years now. Okay, so the next level is going to be, if we lose that, is going to be right down here. Jesus, look at all the way down here. You're looking at that 82 level. Okay, so you got to go a long, long ways just to hit that 82 level. If you lose that, you're going to go down to the 70s. But just take a look at this chart. Okay, you can just see here how just downward slope this is, and I just don't see what the end game is. If you're going to keep right on raising prices and everything on that, I don't see where you're going to hold on to what you got going here. Okay, so 84, you lose that, the next level is going to be 82. Then after that, you got to go back probably, I've already run back 15 years and I can't find anything, all just 82. So this could come down to 70s, 60s, 50. This could be, this could be a really, really good short. I wish I would have taken a look at this and shorted this thing, because this is just nasty, okay? You got high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and then kaboom. So again, if you're trading this, just watch that 84 level, okay? If you're going to lose that, you're going to go down to the 82. The upside, watch the 8-day, and then possibly 21-day, 50-day, 100-day, and then maybe a retest up there. But if I was you, I would just stay away from this. This is garbage. Okay, let's take a look here now at Tesla. Here we have Tesla. All righty, Tesla. Okay, now we're getting a little bump there today. Let me see if I can pick her up there for you a little bit. Okay, get a little bump today. They're going to come out with the Model YL. Okay, but they're only going to sell this in China. Okay, so what it is a 6-passenger car. All these cars look exactly the same, except they're just stretching it out a little bit. That's all it is. So it can be a 6-passenger car. Okay, that's what they announced today that's going to go on in China. Okay, the stock is up 3.5%. But remember, you have BYD in China. China likes to buy and sell their own products. So always remember that. So right now, their sales are declining. So is this going to make a difference? But see, this is why I always say this is a meme stock. Any kind of a news will take it higher if they can see some kind of projection. But if they're going to introduce it, they probably would introduce it in the U.S. before you do it to China, because BYD, they can do that car for half the price and just the same quality, kind of sister, probably better quality. So always look at that with situation. But again, it's a good trader stock. Now remember, if you wanted to short this, TSLS is the easy way to short this. Okay, let's look at the chart. So we want to look at that 333.94 level. Now we can get above that. We'll come to the top of that candle, 339. We'll come up there at 340. And then we're going to be looking right here at that 348.98. That's going to be the level that's going to be looking for. Now, if we can get above that, we have nice good levels. So just bring the price channel right across, and you got 357. Then we come right up there. We have that 367.71. All right. Now, on the downside here, we want to watch that 200-day. Okay, we've held it there Friday, 326.91. You can see where it had to sell up, but it held that 200-day very, very nicely. That's why you trade the charts. Okay, so that's going to be a level that you want to watch, that 326.91. And then we want to watch this 21-day at 323.83. Then we had the 50-day below that at 320. If we lose that, obviously we can come down to this 100-day because it held it very nice at that 305.88. And then we have the retest down at 297.82. Now, RSI here, well, it's plenty of room to go in either direction. So let's just see how this all is going to be shaken out. But again, they announced that new vehicle. And, you know, we got to see how it all shakes out. But, you know, just always remember this stock is declining sales, declining revenues. That's really never good. But he has, you know, he's got a lot of stuff. He's got the Starlink, he's got these robots, and he's got the self-driving car and all this kind of stuff here. So once he gets rolling, this could go. But remember, this is just a meme stock. This is just a tradable stock. At least that's how I look at it. It's not something that I say I'm going to buy and hold unless we start getting above and closing above this level here, this 348. Then we can hit these targets. And then we get above that, you can always add to your position and just work these price channels all the way up to a retest. But we got to see how that all, going to shake out there over time. But I say just be, always use stops, okay? I hope you watched my video this morning. I had Einstein on there, and he was telling me, like, I try to stress you, use stops in play, okay? Don't try to overtrade. You know what I'm saying? You're here just to make money. That's the job. Okay, so if you didn't tune in today. It's right at the end of the video, and I think it's a really good clip. He's one of the very few traders that I listen to, but this guy has knowledge. He's been on the floor forever that I know, and they call him Einstein. So I say this is he's very, very sharp. Peter Tuchman, very, very sharp. I mean, a lot of these people like on CNBC, they're just repeating the same thing. Even like Kramer, I can't listen to this guy. He's talking about the same thing. He's just pumping stocks. Einstein, he knows stocks. Big difference. Okay, that's what I got for you. I'll be back here after the pit close, and we'll take a look here at Bitcoin, gold, silver, crude oil, natural gas, and we'll take a look at the indexes, which are all red right now. Trade what's in front of you, not what you want.